Okay, hi everybody. My name is Richard.lesperance. I go by the name of my man Richard. Welcome to a better lifestyle. Today I have the pleasure to have Morgan Q. Anderson with me. Morgan is a senior tax representative, so she's been doing that for over 25 years. So she knows her stuff. So welcome Morgan to the podcast.
Hey, thanks so much for having me. I really appreciate it. Anytime I can take away people's anxiety over tax, I'm happy to speak to anybody and everybody and shout it from the rooftops. So thank
Great.
you so much.
Great, that's my pleasure. We gotta touch that situation in regards to anxiety too. So we gotta be
Mhm.
talking about that too. But first, I want to touch about like your experience. Like you've been doing that for over 25 years. So what are some stuff that you've seen throughout your career, like the good, the bad, and the ugly?
Whoa, that is a loaded question. Um, the overarching good that I can share with people is that no matter what type of complication you're facing when it comes to your taxes, there's always a solution. Like I have in over almost, it's been almost 26 years now. I have never come across a tax debt or audit situation that we couldn't get an answer to, that we couldn't come to terms dealing with. So that's the good, right? The bad that I typically see is when people let their fear and anxiety delay taking action. And when you do that, it causes penalties and interest and fees to just escalate. And what was a $15,000 debt one year, 5 years later, could be 25,000. So the bad is always not being proactive with handling a problem. And the ugly I've typically seen within business organizations where there's been fraud or embezzlement. And I would say 80% of the time it's family run businesses where a family member is taking money from the company. And that's really, I think, the ugliest type of situations that I've seen. So how does that do? Does that sum it up? Does that bring everybody in and make their ears perk up a bit?
Yeah, I guess some open faith like in this situation. Just
Yeah,
give me 1 second, Morgan.
sure.
Okay, so my next question is, so how, in regards to tax, if people get into problems in regards to tax debt, whether it's personal or for business, let's talk about personal. What are
Okay.
some uncommon things that people miss or forget in regards to that? Let's start with the personal.
So you mean like when they're filing and trying to minimize their tax consequence?
No, well, if they come with an issue, like if something comes up.
Oh, yeah, yeah. And so are you talking about, and pardon me for needing more clarification. Are you talking about like why they end up with a tax situation?
No, because when I was like going through your bio, like
Mhm.
there's a mention like people sometimes get in trouble in regards to payroll taxes, sell taxes, or income
Right,
taxes. So I
right.
just wanted to for you to touch that, like what's the situation and
Oh, sure. So for the personal side with income tax, it's usually I would say about 90% of my clients who have individual income tax issues, it stems from them being self-employed. When you're self-employed, nobody is withholding taxes from your pay, so you have to do it yourself, right? And a lot of times, entrepreneurs are so busy with everything on their plate. They have to be the salesman, they have to be the serviceman, they have to identify their product that they can make the most money from. And really, your attention is split between 100 different responsibilities as a self-employed individual. And keeping an eye on the P&L and the profit that is flowing through to you from that business activity, a lot of people lose sight of it. They just see, oh, I've got money in the bank account. I can pay my rent or I can pay my car payment. they don't think about all of that money that's flowing through after the business expenses is taxable income. So come the end of the year, they haven't made any estimated tax payments. They haven't set any money aside for income tax obligations. And when they get their tax return done, their preparer says, "Okay, you owe $25,000 for all of that flow through income," and people are shocked. It's like, "Well, I didn't feel like I made that much money." But that's understandable because you're so dang busy tending to the daily tasks and everything of what you're doing to earn that income that a lot of times we just kind of lose sight of that obligation as well. So on the personal side, that's a lot of times where I see debt come from. The other places are inheritances from family members that pass away. All of a sudden, you get a large sum of money from a life insurance policy or from investments or assets that get liquidated. And if you're not careful about the taxability of the actions following that inheritance, it can convert it to taxable income depending on what you do with it. So those are usually the two areas on the personal side where I see people get into trouble and how easy it can be, right? I mean, you just assume if you're inheriting all of this stuff, somebody already had paid taxes to purchase those assets, right? Like a home. Let's say you inherit a home from your family members, and then it ends up it's $1.5 million home, right? Some of that, depending on how the estate was set up and whether you go through probate or not, some of it is taxable, some of it may not be. The best thing you can always do when you have an inheritance situation is sit down with a tax advisor because they're going to help you negotiate both pre-death and post-death the best way to leverage everything that is going to be passed down to try to minimize the tax consequence.
Yeah, I would believe your accountant would know about these things, no?
Yes, absolutely. But there's also reason for mention here that everybody should get with an estate planning attorney, with your CPA or your tax professional and say, okay, I know that I'm probably putting the cart before the horse here, but I'm 50 years old. I have a home. I have kids. Like I want to make sure that I put this in some type of platform that will protect the kids from being taxed as much as possible. So from the individual side, it's great to be proactive with your assets that go down to your children or your heirs. But on the same time, too, for you as an adult, what happens to the assets from your predecessors? So yeah, and these can be uncomfortable situations, uncomfortable conversations to have. But if you plan appropriately, you can minimize the tax consequence.
How long would you say it takes for things to escalate on the wrong side when it comes to tax issues?
Boy, it can. This is the disadvantage of dealing with our national governments, our federal government. It can take the here in the States, it can take the IRS's computer system up to 2 or sometimes even 3 years to realize that there's a problem. And by that time, you're already then going to be assessed penalties and interest for that lag in them bringing it to your attention. And then you're trying to scramble and play catch up. So, depending on how quickly the system flags the problem, you could hear something 2 or 3 years down the road.
Is it both the same for personal and business?
Yes.
Hmm.
Yes, it is. It is. And I always say this sounds so bad, but it's like they give you so much rope to hang yourself with, right? Because if their systems aren't up to speed, which we all know the technology at the level of the federal government is archaic at best, it doesn't have the advanced technology to problem source quickly. So here in the States, for example, when you file a tax return voluntarily. You're reporting to our federal government. These are all of my financial transactions, my income earned, interest earned, assets sold, like a real estate sold. This is my business income and my business expenses. So I'm self-reporting all of this, and it shows that I have a refund due to me of $3,000. Okay. So that goes into the IRS's database, and they issue a refund quickly based on what you report. However, they're also getting third-party income information on you. All of your financial transactions that are above a certain threshold, and it varies based on bank account, it varies for like PayPal, things like that, your real estate loan, your income received from contractors, if they have that set up for you. So there's all these financial reportings that happen that we really aren't involved with. And once the IRS database gets that information, then it matches it to what you reported. And that's why I say it could be 2 or 3 years before you hear that there's a problem. Hey, we got a report that you had this unclaimed income of $100,000 in your business name. We don't see that your income figures matched up to claim that, so we need more information from you. If you don't reply, we're going to assume we're correct and we're going to charge you more tax. So this is happening more and more. And because of the archaic systems at the IRS, it's taking 2 and 3 years before people are getting these notifications. So,
And how does the penalties work, the interest on,
oof.
let's say for, how do they calculate? And let's say for individual and businesses, that starts with on the personal side.
Uh, uh, Pretty much between the personal and business side, it's the same. They'll charge up to a maximum of 25% penalties, and that's between late filing, late paying. Let's see what else. Um, there's a failure to pay penalty as well. So it sounds kind of funny. It's like late filing, late paying, and failure to paying timely. And then interest is just a flat rate, and that's set quarterly by Congress. This past quarter, second quarter of 25 was 7%, and it's compounded daily. It's an annual number, but it's compounded daily. So every day it's just increasing just a little bit. Now, back before COVID, interest rates were at 3%. Then a year ago, they were at 8%. So those change quarterly. But this all adds to why a debt that starts at 15,000, before you know it, turns to 25,000.
So when people get notices, let's say they get the first notice, what advice would you tell people in regards to that?
Great question. Do not panic. You know, often when people get those notices, your heart starts racing, you get beads of sweat, you feel like, oh my gosh, I'm in trouble, and you revert to being a little kid again, getting called to the principal's office, right, at school. And the best thing that you can do is just take a deep breath, open the notice, and read it. What does it say? If you don't know what they're bringing to your attention, you can't start mapping a proactive plan to handle it. I've had a lot of clients who have hired me, and they'll say, okay, I've been really bad. And, first thing I always tell them is, hey, no judgment here. This is why I'm here. I help people in situations with tax debt. So don't feel ashamed. Tell me, like, spill your secrets. Tell me it all. And they'll say, I've been getting notices for years and I've never even opened them. And I say, okay, well, Send me all of your notices. And I kid you not, I've had clients who have sent me Xerox paper boxes, right, from copiers full of unopened notices. And it's just because they were so afraid. And that's the best thing I can tell people is don't be afraid. Don't give it more power than it really deserves. It's a bill. It's just something that you're going to have to deal with. The sooner you just knuckle down and deal with it, the better off you'll be.
Do people have rights?
Yes, absolutely. And this is something that the IRS and even the states here in the US aren't really advertising that much. There's Taxpayer Bill of Rights. You can go on your state or your province website and look up Taxpayer Bill of Rights, and you'll be able to see them. The first things first is you have a right to not be charged more tax than you justifiably should owe. You have a right to be heard. You have a right to disagree with the federal government and state what you disagree with and to have that considered and be heard. You have a right to a representative to handle this for you. Somebody like here in the States, like me and my firm, who this is all that we do. This is all we've done for all of our careers. And we're experts at knowing how to start with a problem and go through the labyrinth and get to a solution based on the debt, the type of tax that's owed, and the taxpayer's financial condition.
We were talking at the beginning that these things could bring stress and anxiety. So how do you
Yeah.
deal? So how do you deal with clients who are feeling those type of emotions?
I help them understand that this doesn't warrant any power over you. Yes, it's something that we need to deal with, but there's always a solution. So, first things first, we're going to investigate the situation. We always contact the tax agency and say, okay, we have authorization to pull the data. We want everything there is to know about the taxpayer's account. Helps us identify every liability that's owed, how much time the tax agency has to collect left on each debt. We identify all the tax obligations that need to be adhered to. If there's anything missing, we secure that information. And then we talk to the client and say, okay, this is it. This is the only thing that we need to focus on right now. This is all of your hidden skeletons laid out right in front of you. It's not a big deal. We can deal with this. And people's anxiety starts just coming down. And then we say, okay, so the solution, client, is based on your unique financial condition. And all the tax agencies know this. They know they can't squeeze blood from a turnip. They know that even if a taxpayer owes $10 million in taxes, if we can prove that they have no way to pay that, it doesn't do the tax agency any good to keep trying to collect $10 million. We've proven that they don't have it. So then that opens the door to settling the debt. And there's always some way to deal with the debt. It's a it gives my clients power when they see, oh, okay, there is a way out of this. And I've had a lot of clients say to me within a few days of working with us, gosh, I've had the best sleep that I've had in years because I don't have to worry about this anymore. I know you're handling it. I know there's a solution to it. And just seeing the relief on their face when they can just even just see the path that we're going to take to solve it. It really does calm everybody's nerves.
What are the different plans, payment plans that you know about?
Oh my goodness. Well, first, every tax agency is different with what their expectations are and how to get to identifying the monthly amount that they will accept. Again, if you can prove that you can't pay as much as they want you to pay, they know that. There's no way for you to magically make money appear off of a tree in the front yard, right? So there's seasonal agreements where, like, let's say for a landscaper, Their busy season is during the spring, summer, and fall, but in the winter, they're not getting any income. So there's a way to set up tiered agreements like that. There's ways to say, okay, my business has a really big job coming up 6 months from now, and we can only pay a little bit right now, but once that job starts, I'm going to be able to increase my payments. So you tier the payments that way. There's agreements where you end up only partially paying the total debt owed over the collection time frame left on the debt. There's agreements where they want to go through a full financial with you. There's agreements where they just set it up because I owe $30,000 and they will accept payments over 72 months. They say, "Can you pay this?" We say, "Yeah, we can pay that." We set up the deal. There's agreements where you have to go to appeals and really prove every single expense you have for them to accept a low payment amount. Um, yeah, it, as many different varieties as you can think of, there's a way to get it done.
This question, I don't want to put fear in people, but when does jail come to play? Like
Ooh.
IRS and jail.
So for the IRS right now, there are billions of dollars owed in unpaid taxes. Okay, they estimate that 23% of small business owners have a tax debt issue. Last year, only less than 500 people went to jail over taxes. So it's like microscopic percentage that you would ever go to jail for this. Now, the only times that I would say people should be concerned is when they are committing fraud or if there is a strict tax evasion scenario. I had a client once that wasn't a client very long because I refused to continue representing them. They swore that the amendment outlining taxation in the United States was never ratified, so they didn't have to pay tax. And they were sovereign citizens and all of this goofy tax scam theologies. And I was involved with them for maybe 30 days, and I had to politely back out of that representation agreement because they were straight evading taxes. A few years later, I ended up getting contacted by the Department of Justice asking for information on the case because they were pursuing a lawsuit against these people. But that's the only time in almost 26 years of doing this that I've ever had a case that even went near that. And it was for straight evasion.
Talk to us about your book.
No. Tax debt rule number one, there's always a solution. Somebody suggested that I write a book, and I thought they were out of their mind when they suggested it. I mean, who wants to read about taxes, right? I mean, it can be such a dry topic. But as you can see from our conversation, I've got a little bit of personality to me. And the book is written in that manner. It's informative, but it's not full of a lot of legalese and gobbledygook. It really does just kind of put into the common man's language, hey, there's tax situations that come up. There's options to address it. Here's some experiences that I've had with each of these options. Um, the the inspiration tale behind why I do what I do. And yeah, there's just a lot of good information in there. It's a pretty easy read.
Where can people learn more about you and follow you?
Uh, Golden Lion Tax Solution. Just think of a big lion standing there, right? Ready to defend people. Um, You can go to our website. You can go to social media. Look me up there. We're all over Instagram and LinkedIn and Facebook. Just trying to share that message that even if you have a tax debt, it's nothing that you should give more power to than it justifiably deserves, and that there's always a solution.
Great. Nice to meet you, Morgan. Love the energy.
Thank you so much, Richard. Thanks for the great conversation. I really appreciate it.
Great. I enjoyed it too on my side. On that, I hope everybody found some value and they learned some stuff. So it will take some fear and anxiety.
Yeah.
So I hope that we were able to do that. On that note, everybody, thank you for taking the time to listen to the podcast, and we'll see you on the next episode. Goodbye.